Welcome to the Land Investing Business Secret Podcast, where each short episode we talk about the strategies, experiences, and the tools to help you launch, grow, and scale your land business. Learn how to find freedom within your own business, find out ways to build consistency in your processes, and hear how other everyday land investors are winning so you can get to the next step closer to building your dream life through your land business. And I'm your host of the Land Investing Business Secrets Podcast by Pebble, Jesse Kwong. Hey, how's it going? It's Jesse here from the Land Investing Business Secrets Podcast. I've got a return guest, Josiah. We actually recently ran into each other and I said, hey, you got to come in and talk, because he was on the panel talking about his business. And we took some time here, just talk candidly about what's going on, a recent property to, what his team looks like, to things he's experimenting with. We're sort of all over the map with this episode here. And it was just, I thought, really insightful to, again, have and talk to somebody candidly about their business and what's going on. What does day-to-day actually look like for Josiah as well? You're going to hear all of that in this upcoming episode here with Josiah. Enjoy. All right. So I've got Josiah on here. I've had you on a previous podcast, and Josiah, I thought it'd be great to just sort of bring you back on and see what you're up to and how things have changed. But anyways, first of all, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. We were just talking about your new office, and it's so funny because I've talked about it before. I remember our first chat, you're at that, you just mentioned to me that was your front porch, and then you were in a different room after that. Now you've got your, man, I almost want to call this a man cave set up for you.
Like, it is kind of a man cave. Yeah.
You got a loft in there, you got a shower out there. And it's awesome. But it looks like you really settled into doing this, running your own business and running your land business. Anyways, it was great to catch up with you. Josiah and I, we caught up when we were both out in Colorado.
We're sharing bunk beds.
Yeah. And I looked beside me and I was like, is that putting on some mouth tape? And like, we talked about it. And I was like, I do that too. And I thought it was like kind of weird to bring that to a trip. I should have totally brought it or asked you for something.
You could have borrowed some.
Yeah. Hey, quickly though, what are some benefits here about taping your mouth and breathing through your nose while you sleep?
I forget all the exact facts, but if anybody wants to dive into this deeper, there's a book that came out a couple of years ago called Breath by James Nestor. The book, I listened to the audiobook. It was a really good audiobook. You could also, he's been on a bunch of podcasts on Joe Rogan and stuff, but I think basically we're meant to breathe out of our nose. You get more oxygen when you breathe out of your nose. There's just a whole bunch of benefits that I don't remember all of them, but I just know it's really good for you. And I'll tell you, I definitely feel more rested breathing through my nose. And I was, for years, for 20 years, I was using Breathe Right strips on my nose. And those would help a little bit, but nothing has helped like taping the mouth because it just shuts off the option of even breathing through your mouth in the middle of the night, And it's been amazing. Yeah.
We'll tell people, it sounded kind of hokey pokey to me. And I got wind about breathing through my nose. I struggled with that my whole life. And I tape my mouth, and I realize I wake up a lot less and feel a lot more energized or rested. I think the word is rested. It's
100%.
Weird. But yeah, I don't know if that's for everybody. I certainly do feel it for me. And I do feel it for the nights that I don't tape my mouth. The difference. I wake up a lot more. I find myself.
Wake up with dry mouth.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. I think there's something, I could be getting this wrong, but I think there's even something that I think you wake up to pee less when you breathe through your nose because there's some hormone or something like that that's increased or suppressed. I don't remember. For whatever reason, it's you're supposed to not wake up to pee too much, right? But when you breathe through your mouth, it increases the likelihood that you wake up to urinate in the middle of the night, which disrupts your sleep, obviously. So
I feel like we should get sponsored on this episode by some sort of mouth tape.
Probably by 3M or something. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, let's jump into your land business. Josiah, last we talked, and that's episode 74. If you guys haven't checked that out, please do, because kind of go through Josiah's story and his journey of where he came from and into land. And yeah, it's incredible, like really incredible to see where you're at now. I think it's been 3-4 years since we first met, and what you're doing now. So if you want to hear just what it was like, a year and a little bit more ago, you can listen to that episode on 74. It was an awesome podcast because you talked about just really having fun. And I think you were sort of, you were cleaning up one of the properties with a buddy of yours, and you kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you make that as part of the process, which was really cool. But
Mm-hmm.
I thought I'd bring you on today really to just, why don't we just hop into a recent, maybe challenging deal,
Sure.
and walk us through play by play, from marketing to dealing with the seller. Give us what it's like to work on some of the properties that you work through, and it might be hard for you to draw back. And I didn't, by the way, I didn't give Josiah time to prep on this. I kind of just threw it onto him, and I know Josiah is great at talking here, so maybe you can sort of walk us through one of your recent deals.
Yeah, I'm just kind of I'm looking through Pebble right now. Jesse didn't pay me to say that. Uh, I'm trying to find one that's like, I think I've talked about two of these on some other podcast in the last few months, but we've done quite a few deals recently where probate is required. In fact, we just got a property under contract yesterday where probate's going to be required. That's one, I guess, one way where we sort of shifted. I think with it becoming, in our opinion, especially in Florida, with it being harder to find deals that are just like easy peasy, harder than it was, say, 4 or 5 years ago. We don't shy away if it's something that doesn't seem too complicated to unravel the title. We will go after that. There's this one deal in particular that it's for sale now. We own it and now it's for sale. What we actually did, yeah, I won't use the location or names just to keep everybody private. You'll see why, but basically this property was owned by two people. I'm not going to use their names, but one of the people it was owned as joint tenants with rights of survivorship. Basically, I don't know if this is in every state, but basically it means like if you and I, Jesse, owned a property that was JTROS, if I die, the moment of my death, the full title to the property is you own the property. Like there's no probate required. There's no deed required to transfer it. It's just if we own, like, Josiah Ronco, a single man, and Jesse Kwong, a single man, as joint tenants with rights of survivorship. If one party dies, the other party owns the whole property. So these two people owned this property, and it was two brothers, and one of the brothers murdered the other brother. Yeah, I know. Crazy. So fast forward 30 years, I'm speaking with the son of the guy who was murdered on the property. Yeah, really nice guy, like great guy, really cool seller to work with. And basically, like, long story short, we ended up having to do 3 or 4 probates. I think we had to do 3 probates to get the title cleaned up, and then there was a bunch of other issues. And part of the thing that was a big pain was just getting everyone to sign documents. There was like 8 different people that had to sign on. We had to get all these different signatures, on the purchase agreement, and then on I forget what the forms are called, but I guess the petition for probate and petition for summary administration documents. We had to get a bunch of signatures. Then then we had to get a bunch of signatures when we were closing on the property. We had to get, all these different signatures we had to get 7 or 8 different deeds. And, a lot of these people were not tech savvy, didn't have cell phones, live in remote areas. One of them was a long haul trucker, who also, I think, somehow didn't have a cell phone. I think like landline only. So they're like unreachable when they're out on the road. And it was very complicated to get that. It took us, in that case, I mean, that one took 16 or 17 months to get that closed. And then the other thing we did, which was kind of unique, is that it was very important to the sellers that the guy who was murdered, he's not buried on the property, but they have a memorial site on the property. And so he really wanted to keep that memorial site, but the county said, hey, you can't cut out whatever it was, like 1/5 of an acre for this memorial site. It's going to make it's going to be an illegal subdivide, and then both properties are going to be deemed unbuildable because of this illegal subdivide that was done. So what we ended up doing was we just created an easement to their memorial site. We created a pathway of an easement like 10 feet wide. And then the memorial site itself is small. It's like 10 by 10. And then we had an attorney draft up all this language that's like, hey, you can't use this for storage. You can't stay overnight. You can't park vehicles. You can't camp there. You can't build anything there. Like, it's literally like
where the easement is, you mean?
Exactly. Like, it's very limiting to what they can do with this easement. Like, it's basically like, hey,
the property itself?
No, it's only on it. The easement only encumbers actually, it's not even 1/5 of an acre. It's like probably 1/10 of an acre of the property that isn't, because luckily where they have this memorial site was right up by the road. Cause that was my first concern, was this is a big property. Like, this is, it's a large property. And so if I would have been, if the memorial site was way in the back, now you have this easement cutting right through, it's just going to devalue the property, and nobody's going to want that. If you have this easement cutting all the way through your big, nice hunting property. But we had an attorney draft that up, and well, actually, we used ChatGPT to draft it up, and then we had an attorney review it and make some changes. And and that was just, I mean, that was one where it took a lot of work to get it closed. And now we have it listed for sale. It's a great deal. Like, the numbers are solid on it. But man, it was a lot of headache to get it done, but it was very fulfilling to get it done too.
Let's talk about, I mean, some of the headaches that you have to go through. I mean, there seems to be a lot of personality management here, or people chasing 8 signers. First of all, why 8 signers?
That was just how many heirs there were.
So did the 2 owners pass away already? Is that what it was?
Yeah. So the first guy was murdered.
Yeah.
Which then put the interest in, I can't remember how this worked out. Put the interest in it was, I don't know why I'm being weird about saying, I don't need to say their names. Nobody's going to, it was brothers. It was 2 brothers.
Yeah.
One brother, it was like Cain and Abel. One brother killed the other brother.
Yeah.
So, and then the other brother died in prison a few years later. And then, it went to the grandmother, and then when the grandmother passed away, it went to all of the kids.
Okay. All right. So now you've got all these kids to deal with.
Yes. All the remaining children.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
This is a big deterrent for a lot of people to have to deal with the hairy property.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It took you a total of 16, 17 months. At any time, were you thinking about just forgetting about this deal, or like what sort of goes through your mind when, like, when you're dealing with a hairy piece of property like that? And I think this is becoming more and more that people are sorting out these sort of hairy properties to deal with, because they can figure it out, and it does take a lot of competition away at the end of the day. So what was sort of your thoughts about actually dealing with this?
One thing that comes to mind is that I think you it seems to me, maybe I would love to hear a different opinion on this because it would help us get more deals done if the opposing opinion is correct here. So if anybody, yeah, seriously, reach out to me if you disagree, please. I think you really need it. You got to have one point of contact who is easy to work with and is easy to communicate with and is responsive and is going to like help put this together. Meaning one of the heirs has to be like a good point of contact to work with. Because in this case, our point of contact was was just a real stand-up guy, really easy to communicate with, responded to emails, responded to texts, returned phone calls promptly, was easy to, I mean, I think this this is maybe underrated, but like I could understand him on the phone. And I'm not talking about somebody like who doesn't speak. I mean, I'm just saying we're in the deep South. So it's like sometimes you get on the phone with people and I'm like, it sounds like they're talking through an aluminum can in the middle of a grain silo and their phone's on speakerphone and you just can't understand anything they're saying. And like, I think there's been many a time where we're like, I can't understand this person on the phone and they kind of sound angry and they're shouting into their phone. And it's just like, whatever, we just give up, just move on to the next one. So in this case, it was like we were working with someone who was easy to communicate with and they were helpful and they kind of were the ringleader. They were sort of keeping everyone engaged in the transaction, I don't know. I think this one, I don't think we ever considered pulling the plug. There were times where it was like it definitely got shifted to the back burner for us because of other deals we were working on that were like easier to work on. But no, I don't think we ever really considered I don't think so. I don't think we considered like giving up on it. It was just like, hey, this is taking a while,
Was there anybody out of the eight, not wanting to go through with the deal? And then, no, okay, sounded like
No, they
everybody
were
was
just,
on board.
no, there was just people in that eight that were just, no one, as far as I know, no one was opposed to selling the property. It was just like, I don't know if they were already really well off financially, but there was a couple people in particular that it was almost like, I was like, man, all you guys got to do is like, go to your bank. You got to, and actually we ended up sending a bunch of mobile notaries out. And even that was like such a pain. It's like, we are paying for a mobile notary to come to your house or work or wherever, or your church, wherever you want to meet them. And it was like, they just weren't motivated. They were like, they didn't care about the whatever $7,000 they were going to get or whatever, 10,000 or 4,000 or whatever. And, they, so that took some finagling, some pressing to like, we need these documents signed. Like, it just took a while. That was the most frustrating part. But
how do you
yeah.
put pressure on a group like that? I mean, what would you tell them? If they're not motivated, but you're highly motivated, also, I don't, at any point in a time, did you feel like they may have wanted to back out? Was there sort of
No,
security like
I
that?
didn't get that impression at all. I think who put the pressure on was the family members that wanted to get paid. I think that's who put the pressure on. I think that in this case, I want to say I think there was three people that were really difficult to get signatures from. And I think the other five family members or whatever the number was who had already signed were like, can you please get this done so we can get our money, So I think that was that. And it was probably, we have a transaction coordinator now. I think she was also doing some friendly pushing to get it done. I was, by the time we got to closing this deal, I was a lot more removed, which has been kind of nice.
Okay,
So,
that is awesome.
yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, it pays off to have somebody handle
Mm-hmm.
acquisitions for you. I mean,
Yeah.
Josiah, do you sort of are you actively looking out for messy properties, and is that what people should be expecting nowadays?
I wouldn't say we're not like targeting them specifically. We're we're putting more, we're not just cutting them off right away now.
How do you
Yeah.
evaluate if a messy property is worth dealing with? Then, what are some sort of initial things that you typically look at, um, and might be sort of like, okay, this is where we cut it off at, and we don't deal with a property like this.
I guess it probably, the profit margin is certainly a factor.
Okay.
Um, you know, yeah, is it actually enough money to make it worth your time to deal with it? If you're talking about a lot that's like, hey, we're going to buy this for 6,000 and sell it for 14,000, and there's 2 probates required, you're probably not worth dealing with that.
What is it? What is the profit margin for yourself? Is it sort of a 10 figure? Oh, 10 figures.
10 figure, yeah, yes, please, yeah.
A 5 figure spread, or what is it typically for you guys that makes it worth it?
I think if you're going to be dealing with messy
Yeah, something
title,
like
I
this.
feel like it's got to be a 5 figure spread minimum, at minimum, I would say, because it's just not worth, you know, if you're at a 4 figure spread, I mean, you could just be a little bit wrong on comps, and now you're losing money on the deal,
Right,
anyways. So,
right, right. So now you
yeah,
guys have that property.
yeah.
And how long has it been on the market for now?
Mm, how long has it been on the market? I don't know, 2 months, three
Okay, is
months.
that what you guys are expected, and how long would it take you guys to offload that?
I don't, our sales have been slow. Probably they have felt slow since like July. Um, Especially on like bigger properties, things have been slow. I don't know. I feel like I've been getting that feedback from quite a few other people. Even a lot of the agents we work with have been. It's funny because acquisitions have been good, but like sales have been slow. And I've kind of been hearing something similar from a lot of our agents that they're getting a lot of good listings, but they're not getting, their phone isn't ringing. So I don't know. I don't know if that's because people are expecting interest rates to drop soon, so maybe they're waiting to pull the trigger. I think that's probably a common. I know if I was in the market for like a house right now, I would certainly be waiting for rates to drop, or maybe election uncertainty. I don't know. People just kind of waiting to see what happens. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Um, let's switch gears here, and thanks for walking us through that hairy property there.
yeah, yeah.
What are you trying now? Like, you've gone through a lot. I heard you talk, and I've heard you when you started, and we spoke in between that. What are you currently up to right now? What are you experimenting with right now? Whether it's marketing, whether it's building your team, what's new on the plate for you guys?
Um, we're doing more. We're definitely jumping on the subdivide bandwagon to a degree. We're definitely doing more of those, and looking for more of those opportunities. Um, we are we reluctantly started doing some more double closes earlier this year. Not a lot, but we're that option is on the menu now for us.
And
Um,
why reluctantly?
I don't know, just didn't want to. I don't know why. Sometimes I think sometimes I tend to be stubborn about I just want to like keep it simple and do like one or two things. Honestly, I was even a little reluctant on subdivides because I was just like, it's like another thing. And then it's like, now that we're like doing them, I'm like, oh, actually, these are really fun to do. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a little bit of laziness. I really like staying like focused and not having like too much stuff going on, and so I don't know, maybe that's why. But no, we're doing, yeah, subdivides. We're we've been having a lot of fun with traction and EOS this year, and just like growing the team and just getting more clarity about where we're going as a team, as an organization.
And so tell us
I've
about the
yeah.
team right now. How does that look like?
We have 5, including me. So we have a acquisitions manager, like a marketing and data person. We have a transaction coordinator, and then we have a business coach who's kind of like a fractional. If you're familiar with like the vocabulary of traction, he's kind of a fractional integrator for the business. And then so I'm also kind of like integrator, visionary seat. Then we have a lot of independent contractors we work with that feel like part of the team, whether it's like title company, real estate agent, land clearing crew, surveyor, wetland consultant, soil consultant, you know, debris hauling. Actually, yesterday was really fun. We have this property up near Gainesville that it had a whole bunch of junk on it, and actually, one of the things we're working on right now is just getting some really cool video content for our website and for building up content on a YouTube channel, just to make ourselves more. We're trying to make ourselves easier to find on the internet and easier to like see that we're a real business, that we're not like. I think one of our number one objections, I think, is that people think we're a scam. They think it's like, what is this? Like, this is weird. I got this letter. Is this you guys are trying to steal my property? Whatever. And it's like, no, we're not trying to steal your property. Like, I don't even know how you do that. First off, like, steal property, like fraudulently record a deed. I don't know, but it's like, we are legit. Like, we are real people. Like, we live in Florida. Like, we use a licensed title company. So we're trying to like get that message out. And like, but one of the ways we're doing that is just making ourselves more findable on the internet. And so we've been filming content. So yesterday we went up to this property, and I have a friend who he's actually a very accomplished actor, model, director, producer. And he lives in Tampa, a good buddy of mine, been friends for like 20 years. And so we hired him to shoot some video content for us. So we went up to this property. It's got a bunch of trash all over it. It's got like old vehicles, an old Winnebago, just all kinds of nasty crap all over the property. It was just like a borderline dump site, And we hired a big debris hauling crew, and we went up there with the drone and like other camera equipment, and we just got footage of them like smashing up this RV and loading it into a dump truck and scraping all the garbage. And basically we just got a bunch of footage of us cleaning up this property, and then also mulching the property. So like coming in with a machine and cleaning up like invasive like weeds and plants that were kind of overgrowing the property. And just making it like taking a property that looks really ugly and then making it really pretty, and restoring it to its natural beauty. And so we've been like, that's what I was doing. I left my house at 5 a.m. yesterday and got back at like 4 p.m. We were just out like in the field getting content. And so that was really fun. So I guess that's another thing we're doing right now that's kind of like, you wouldn't think of doing that in a typical day-to-day land business, but I also have that luxury because of having a team. I don't have to be like answering the phone all day and, responding to emails all day long every day. So.
All right, we just talked about Josiah's team and what's going on with his business. Anyways, you can see Josiah's been on this journey for a long time, and he's really pulled himself out of being the operator, and really have brought on some key people so he can work on the high leverage things. He's going to talk about what his day-to-day is like, if he hasn't done that already. But I've watched Josiah start since leaving his actual last job, touring with bands, being on the road all the time, then working on his porch. I remember having that first conversation with him. It was like sort of like a 7 p.m. or 5 p.m. and it was dark already out there in Florida. And then now he's got his own man cave office and he's got an entire team. And that took time and process and people. And that's exactly what I talk about in my Dirt Hacker Challenge. I do this every single month. This is a 3-day challenge. If you're a land investor, if you're an active land investor, if you have done some deals, this isn't for people who are brand new. This is for people who have an active business and has gotten a couple deals done. You're going to start thinking about, okay, how do I grow this business? What are the frameworks I need? And I introduce you to that, what I call the hack framework. It's going to cost you no more than a dinner. Okay. And I run this every single month. So if you want to join my next challenge, head over to dirthackerchallenge.com. Not only that, I'm going to send you a bunch of free things, including a free book. Again, that's over at dirthackerchallenge.com. I'll see you on the next one. And I'm excited to give you some of the frameworks to scaling a business, everything from automations to creating process to bringing on people. I'll see you on that challenge. Anyways, enjoy this rest of this episode here. So you're working on content to build a bit of, I guess, authority and trust at the end of the day here, really.
Yes.
Are they with sellers or buyers? It sounds like on the seller side, on the acquisition side. Would you be open to sharing that with sellers?
Oh, no, definitely for sellers. For sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. We would I'd say it's probably more so with sellers, but also with buyers and even like investors. We have most of our investors right now are close friends or family of mine. But as we grow and have a need for more capital, that network is going to get bigger. And so, hey, being an actual authority in the space and being able to prove it, I think is only going to help us acquire more investment capital for doing more deals.
Showing that you're cleaning up the property, that becomes your property and whatnot. Do you think that can backfire on you? What's sort of the thought process here with sellers, knowing that you're going to take it and clean it up and then, turn around and sell it?
I debate on this a lot. We've talked about this a lot. We have actually transitioned to we have one website, we have one brand. We don't have a buying brand and a selling brand. And I think that's on one hand, that's maybe there's some people that will be turned off by that. Maybe there's some sellers that will be turned off by that. But also, I don't know. To me, I think if I owned if I was one of these sellers and saw that, oh, these people, they'll buy my land with all this crap on it, all this junk, and they're going to put in the time and the effort and the expense to clean it up. I think a lot of people have a misconception that they need to do that before they can sell the property. So if anything, maybe it's we're putting a message out there that's hey, you don't need to worry about this. Just like somebody that's flipping houses, or it's hey, you leave all your junk in the house. You don't need to repair the roof. You don't need to, we're going to take care of it. We're going to flip it. We're going to clean it up. I think, and also it's I guess another way we're changing is that we're not necessarily just going to resell the property. I mean, there's a lot of properties where there's quite a few properties that we have bought or are about to buy where I'm looking at it and thinking well, it's already got planted timber on it. Why don't we just hold this? I can get a loan from one of the local banks that I have a good relationship with. I can get a loan on the property so I could still use the equity to flip other properties, but then I get to hold on to this property, enjoy the appreciation benefits of holding on to the property. And then when it's time to cut the timber, can get money for the timber. I could lease it out. Some places you get pretty good money for a hunting lease or camping lease. So we could still collect income from the property, tap the equity. So I don't know. I think, I'm sure there's people that'll be turned off that are oh, you're going to flip the property. I don't want to sell to you. It's like, well, okay. Yeah.
I do see the benefit in what you're doing as well, and it'd be interesting to see, overall how that, will help you as an authority. And again, I think that's
Yeah.
huge, actually, what you're thinking about doing there. And
Yeah.
it's like it's no secret. Like I think nowadays people know that we're here to acquire a piece of property, and we're probably going to sell it or offload it. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah. I want to
Yeah.
come back to your team. You mentioned you had a really interesting role there, a data person. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Her title is, what is I think her title is director of marketing and analytics. Um,
And so, what kind of background do they have to have, and what are you hoping to get out of a role like that?
I don't think she really has a background in that stuff. She's been a good friend of mine for a long time. Initially, she was. I hired her to price mailers and send mailers, and then comp properties, and then probably a little bit of like due diligence work, and then it's just kind of now that's just sort of morphed to we hired a media company who is helping us with like some of the video content, doing a new website for us, all this stuff. She's coordinating with them on that. She is creating new mailer templates. So we're always adding more templates into our library and Pebble that we're sending. So she's creating new templates. Um, she's comping properties. She's tracking a lot of things on our KPI sheet.
And so I mean,
Yeah,
she's pretty much looking after the entire marketing process, and you're sort of stepped away from that then.
pretty much. I mean, I'm still involved to a degree. We meet at least once a week. I do. I, Sometimes I miss it, but I really try and stay consistent with doing a one-on-one meeting with each of my team members every week. That's just part of my role as a leader now. Uh, so yeah.
Well, ultimately, what does a day to day look like for you now? What do you actually deal with such a nicely built out team there you have? Um, yes, you're doing some of the fun stuff like filming content, but what does day to day look like for you now?
Um, well, I can tell you like it depends a lot. Let's see, like last week, I'll just run through a random week here. So last week, um, on Monday, I had a bunch of stuff to do in the Panhandle of Florida last week. So my wife and I went up to stay up there for a week and just have like a home base for working from up there. So Monday we drove up to uh, the Panhandle, and I had a bunch of phone calls to do with agents, surveyors, title company, and my team. And so I was doing some of that while we were driving, and then and then we got settled up there. Tuesday, I went out to look at I did a bunch of just admin work in the morning, and then I went out to look at a 160-acre property that we're buying Tuesday evening, and that took, I mean, that 160 acres of some pretty thick woods. I mean, that took us. We were out there like 5 or 6 hours. Like it's not like you don't just drive by it. That takes some time. I mean, we walked like 6 miles on that property, so
What are
it's
you
like
looking for when you're walking such a large parcel?
um anything that would scare me from buying it, I guess. um uh More water than this property has some wetlands on it, but I wanted to see like, okay, how wet is it? Is the wetland map accurate? Is it just want to see the condition of it. It's got some planted timber on it. I wanted to see like what's the condition of the timber, like just getting a feel for the property. Like, does this look, because this is going to be an expensive property when we sell it. It's expensive now to buy it. It's going to be, obviously, we're going to sell it hopefully for more than what we pay for it. And, there's a lot of, I just want to make sure it's, what is Travis King talks about trophy properties, right? I think like this is one of those, I think. And so making sure like, does this feel like that when I'm out there? Does it feel like that trophy property? And yeah, so we were out there and that was just like super fun. And then we met one of the owners, happened to drive by while we were like getting unloaded from the car, and ended up getting to talk. He's like this really cool dude, like 80 years old, lives right down the road. Ended up talking to him for a while. That was really cool. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, we drove out to look at this property that we just closed on that has just a ginormous amount of trash on it. This is in the Panhandle, like just absurd amount of trash. So we went out there to pick up garbage ourselves and like film it for content. And about 3 hours in, we realized that this is foolish to try and do this ourselves. And so we called a garbage removal company and had them come out and look at it and give us a price for finishing the job we started. And we were out there, and then I went to meet with a seller of a high value property that she wanted to meet in person before signing a contract. So I went and spent an hour with her at Wendy's, just like talking about the property. Yeah, just like doing what it takes, So we did that, and then came home and did like some admin stuff. Thursday was just like work from the computer, admin, meetings, emails, analyzing properties. I still approve all the deals over a certain purchase price. So that takes up, probably a few hours a week. And then more of the same on Friday, just like some meetings and just analyzing deals. And yeah, so I don't know. That's like a random week. And then this week I spent 2 days in the field also getting more content of garbage removal at the property I was describing to you. Yeah. And then today's just been meetings. Today basically like starting at like 11 or 10:30, I've been in just back-to-back meetings, and that's the way it'll go until 5 p.m. And then,
I was just gonna say like how much your role has transformed. I mean, and I'm surprised at how often you're out on the road, first of all, which is awesome. And it sounds like you're doing sort of the high leverage kind of things with the business,
yeah,
checking out the trophy properties, having the talk with the the bigger sellers that you're working with.
yeah,
And ideally, I think most land investors want to get into that position where the meats and potato is looked after by the entire team, which I'm assuming just continues to run even while you're out there doing your thing on the field or checking out a piece of property. So
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of we had our team meeting. It literally, I was 4 minutes late to this podcast because of our team meeting going over, and there's a lot of ways that there's a lot of day-to-day stuff that I still need to remove myself from. It probably sounds cooler than it is, or like I have it all ironed out when I just describe it like that. But like the reality is right now I'm looking at Pebble. I've got 23 notifications to respond to. I've got 22 tasks that I need to complete. I've got probably 30 emails that need processed right now. So it's like, it sounds like I've just got it all completely dialed, but I don't. We're still figuring it out.
There's grind work to be done in between.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
Josiah, thanks for coming on here and just really coming on and sharing with us candidly what's going on with you. It's really interesting for us on the outside, especially for a lot of people who want to get into the position where you are in, to just kind of come in and have a peek at what goes on, with the kind of properties you work with, what your team looks like, what day to day looks like. And I hope that's insightful for a lot of you guys that are listening. Josiah, I always appreciate you coming on here. Just appreciate you
Anytime.
as a friend and all the things you've
Same.
done in the space and
Same.
the community as well. If you guys don't know Josiah, you should really get to know him. Josiah, is it cool? I mean, if people want to engage with you, what's the best way? Where can they find you?
Um, you can email me personally, josiah@acrevault.com. Um, if there's if you're looking for like funding on a deal or like partnership on a deal, please send that to offers@acrevault.com. Please do not send that to my personal email address.
And if we wanted to check out some of the content that you're filming, I don't know why my phone's going off here, but if we want to check out some of your the content you're filming, are we able to? Where can we find that? I mean, I'm really interested to see that.
None of it's up yet. We'll have it up probably in the next like 1 to 3 months. We'll really start posting some more content on the website and on our YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Josiah, thanks again for coming on the show here and really, again, giving us a candid look into your business, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Before you stop this episode or hit the next episode, I want to personally thank you for listening to this episode of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast by Pebble. If you found this helpful, we'd greatly appreciate any awesome reviews and ratings on whichever platform you are listening to this on. And if you have 2 minutes and wanted to step it up even more and help others, feel free to share this in other Facebook groups or pages or any communities, giving others a heads up of the Land Investing Business Secrets podcast or the specific episode that may help them on their land investing journey. Once again, thanks so much for listening, and catch you on our next episode.